The hum of the airplane's engines filled the cabin as passengers adjusted in their seats, unaware that an extraordinary moment was about to unfold. A young woman sat quietly by the window, her eyes distant, lost in thoughts that no one could guess. Suddenly, the sky outside erupted with movement. A pair of F-16 fighter jets sliced through the clouds, drawing closer to the plane. The captain's calm voice trembled as he repeated the words coming from the lead jet. "Is Eagle One on board?" Whispers spread through the cabin. Passengers turned to see the woman, confused, fearful, yet strangely composed. In that instant, the ordinary vanished. She was no regular traveler. She carried a past shrouded in secrecy, missions no one knew about, and a courage that had once turned the tide of impossible odds. Today, her hidden identity had resurfaced at 30,000 feet. Flight 728 from New York to London had taken off like any normal morning. Passengers settled into their seats, the cabin dimmed, and the quiet hum of engines filled the air. Among the travelers was a woman named Alicia, calm, tired, and carrying the weight of something she never spoke about. Sitting by the window, she watched the clouds drift by. Every flight reminded her of a life she had tried to leave behind. Once the plane reached cruising altitude, Alicia briefly switched off airplane mode on her phone. She wanted to check a missed call, nothing more. She had no idea her entire past was about to catch up with her in a way she could never have imagined. Minutes later, the captain made a tense announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We are being approached by 2 F-16 fighter jets." Murmurs spread through the cabin. Some passengers thought it might be a medical escort or VIP protection. But Alicia didn't move. Her hands tightened. Her breathing shifted. She looked out the window, and there it was, an F-16 flying directly beside them. The captain received a call from the lead fighter. He put on his headset, listened, and suddenly went wide-eyed. "Control. F-16 lead is asking, is Eagle One on board?" He asked again, unsure if he heard correctly. The pilot repeated, "Confirm. Is Eagle One on this aircraft?" The flight attendants exchanged confused looks. Passengers were frightened, but no one was more shaken than Alicia. She straightened in her seat, eyes locked on the fighter jet. Her face lost its color. For the first time, fear crossed her expression. Fear not of danger, but of recognition. A flight attendant whispered, "Ma'am, do you know what they mean?" Alicia closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, the softness was gone, replaced by the steel of someone who had seen wars, loss, and fire. And quietly, she said, "Yes, they're here for me." The captain escorted Alicia to the cockpit. As she walked down the aisle, passengers watched her in confusion and fear. Who was she? A spy? A fugitive? A hidden VIP? The cockpit door shut behind her. She looked directly at the fighter jet outside, took a deep breath, and picked up the spare headset. Then she spoke a code phrase known only to an elite military unit. "This is Eagle One. Status." Instantly, the F-16 pilot responded, a mix of shock and respect in his voice. "Ma'am, we never thought we'd hear your voice again." The captain stared at Alicia, stunned. Who are you?" Alicia didn't flinch. Years ago, she had been one of the U.S. Air Force's most skilled combat pilots. Her code name, Eagle One, was legendary. 5 years earlier, during an impossible rescue mission that saved 42 civilians and her entire team, her jet had gone down. Everyone believed she died in the crash. She didn't. She walked away from the military, from the world, from everything. She chose silence. But today, silence was no longer an option. The F-16s radioed to ground control. Visual confirmation. Eagle One is alive. Alicia's name spread across secure channels within seconds. The pilots reported, "We need her to verify a classified detail related to her last mission." Alicia closed her eyes. That last mission was the one chapter of her life she had tried hardest to forget. The captain asked quietly, "Why are they looking for you now?" Alicia looked at the F-16 again. "Because the mission I never finished has finally come back." Ground control issued new orders. Divert the aircraft to the nearest military base. Eagle 1 must be debriefed immediately. The plane changed direction. F-16s fell into perfect escort formation. Passengers watched Alicia return to her seat, not as a stranger anymore, but as a mystery wrapped in military history. A little boy asked softly, "Are you a superhero?" She smiled faintly. "No, I just did what I had to." Once Alicia confirmed the classified code, ground control transmitted the official message. Eagle 1 confirmed. Emergency protocol activated. The captain asked her again, "What does this mean?" Alicia stared out the window at the fighter jets slicing through the sky beside them. "It means," she said quietly, "that something I tried to bury survived." Her unfinished mission involved a dangerous terrorist network she had once nearly dismantled. Now, satellite intel showed it was active again, stronger than before. Ground control radioed. Eagle 1 is needed for an urgent intelligence debriefing. Her knowledge is critical. The plane was rerouted to a secure military base. Passengers were confused but calm as the crew made a vague announcement about a precautionary landing. Alicia sat silently, replaying memories she had buried for years. Explosions, radio static, the screams of her team, the moment she decided to disappear. Her thoughts were interrupted by a transmission from the F-16 squadron. "Ma'am, when you vanished, we lost more than a pilot. We lost our leader." Alicia blinked hard, fighting back tears. She had never planned to face this again. But fate had its own flight plan. The plane landed at the military airbase. Rows of soldiers stood waiting on the runway. When Alicia stepped out, they raised their hands in salute. She stopped, overwhelmed. She had run from this honor for years, but now it stood before her, unshakable. A senior officer approached. "Eagle 1, welcome back." Alicia looked him in the eyes. "I'm not here to return to service," she said softly. "I'm here to finish what I started." The officer nodded. "Then your briefing begins now." Alicia followed him. Knowing the past she fled had finally caught her. Inside the briefing room, satellite images showed hostile activity tied to her abandoned mission. The same network she once nearly destroyed had resurfaced. "We need Eagle 1 for one final operation," the officer said. Alicia inhaled slowly, steadying the tremor in her hand. She had run long enough. Her voice was firm. "Prepare the jet." A sleek combat jet waited on the runway. Alicia climbed into the cockpit, her hands remembering every switch, every control. For the first time in years, she felt alive. The F-16 pilots radioed. "Eagle 1, squadron ready." Alicia smiled. "Then let's end this." The engines roared. The jet surged forward, and Eagle 1 took to the skies again, not running from her past, but flying straight toward it.